Oops, wrong. Let's try this one. And once again. Wow. Ow. Let us recite from the sayings of the Buddha and then meditate like a Jedi. Since I've got some free time, I'm going to do a quick edit because ostensibly that's how I roll. Okay. And one more adjustment, one more unnecessary adjustment, and here we go. Wow. Coordination, don't fail me now. So I'm going to tab button 7, and together, so I'm going to recite from the 6th chapter of the Dhammapada. If you wish to recite with me, simply join me on the tube app. Whoops, wrong button yet again. The wise tell you where you have fallen and where you yet may fall in valuable secrets. Follow them, follow the way. Let them chasten you and teach you and keep you from mischief. The world may hate them, but good ones love them. Do not look for bad company or live with those who do not care. Find friends who love the truth. Drink deeply the present moment, live in serenity and joy. So I'm going to do a quick edit. The wise delight in the truth and follow the path of the awakened. Quick edit. As the farmer channels water to his land, the fletcher whittles his arrows, and the carpenter turns his wood. So the wise direct their intention. As the wind cannot shake a mountain, neither praise nor blame moves the wise. One moment, please. As the wind, so I'm going to jump back a little bit for the sake of context and momentum. As the farmer channels water to his land, the fletcher whittles his arrows, and the carpenter turns his wood. So the wise train in mindfulness and meditation. As the wind cannot shake a mountain, neither praise nor blame move the wise. They are clarity, hearing the truth. They are clarity, hearing the truth. They are like a lake, pure and tranquil and deep. Okay, they are clarity. Hearing the truth, they're like a lake, pure and tranquil and deep. Want nothing, where there is desire, say nothing. Happiness or sorrow, whatever befalls you, happiness or sorrow, whatever befalls you, walk untouched, unattached. Do not ask for family or power or wealth, either for yourself or for another. Can the wise wish to rise unjustly? Few cross the river, most are stranded on this. Let's see, I'm going to go back, replace unjustly with one moment, please bear with me. I'm having a flurry of edit brainstorms this morning. Okay, let's recapture the momentum. Do not ask for family or power. Okay. Do not ask for family or power or wealth, either for yourself or for another. So I'm going to replace ask with invoke. Do not invoke family or power or wealth, either for yourself or for another. Can the wise wish to rise from contrivance? Few cross the river, most are stranded on this side. On the river bank, they run up and down. The wise, following the way, cross over beyond the reach of death. They leave the dark way for the way of light. They leave home seeking happiness on the hard road. Free from the tyranny of desire, free from the tyranny of possessions, free from the tyranny of the dark places of the heart, free from the tyranny of attachment and appetite, following the 7 enlightenment factors, and rejoicing greatly in their freedom. In this world, the wise become like a guide light, pure, shining, and free. Having completed our opening recitation, let's take a moment to shift gears. It is Qui-Gon Jinn Tuesday morning. Come, let us meditate like a Jedi. After approximately 30 seconds of housekeeping. Let's see, I'll move this way. This is the Dzogchen Semde Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. For more than 30 years, I have harnessed my autistic special interests as well as my ADHD hyperfocus to spend about 8 hours a day, almost every day, studying, practicing, mastering, and reverse engineering the teachings and techniques of each school of meditation so that I could become your personal nerdy, neurodivergent guide to Nirvana. Welcome, my friends, to meditate like a Jedi, which is made possible due to the generosity of viewers just like you. For the remainder of this morning's live stream, let us simply sit and breathe and watch and rest. A fun warm-up is to bring what could be to bring the 4 bases of mindfulness into the path of impermanence. The first fold of the Buddha's Eightfold Path. What we're doing does not involve belief or philosophy or visualization. It's as easy as can be. To bring our experience of the circumstantial into the path of the wisdom of letting go. As we breathe in, let us silently and mentally recite the noun lot. And as we exhale, let us silently and mentally recite the verb change. To bring our experience of the physical into the path of the wisdom of letting go, let us silently and mentally recite the noun form during our inhalation and the verb change during our exhalation. To bring our experience of the interpersonal into the path of the wisdom of letting go, let us silently and mentally recite the slang noun feels during our inhalation and the verb change during our exhalation. To bring our experience of the mental into the path of the wisdom of letting go. As we breathe in, let us silently and mentally recite the noun mind. And as we exhale, let us silently and mentally recite the verb change. No, Virginia. Contemplating impermanence does not make the world's problems go away. It does not get rid of genocide or jingoism or fascism or exploitation or sexism or racism or homophobia. It doesn't get rid of any of these things. But it helps us from like Dr. David Banner turning into the Hulk and stomping around and getting ourselves needlessly shot. We can do far more good for our neighbors if we act from wisdom and not from rage. If we make the mistake of actively focusing and actively analyzing in reliance upon our dorsolateral and medial prefrontal cortex, we exhaust the front of our brain, begin presenting with symptoms of depression, and trigger our amygdala, the seat of anxiety and aggression. However, things are much different when we vulnerably cooperate with our own autonomic nervous system. Every time we inhale, we have evolved to automatically access the middle bit of our spinal cord, known as the sympathetic nervous system, which has evolved to help us to notice vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly, to notice mind's antics. Seeing, hearing, feeling, tasting, smelling, and the like, including the full spectrum of human emotions, intentions, thoughts, memories, and imaginings. To notice all manner of phenomena, whatever comes up, from the external to the internal, from the physical to the mental, from the pleasurable to the painful, from the interesting to the boring, from the glorious to the grotesque. Well, what are we to do with that which we notice? Every time we exhale, whether we know it or not, we have evolved to automatically access the bottom bit and the top bit of that same spinal cord. Known as the parasympathetic nervous system, it has evolved to help us physically relax and mentally release to such a degree that which we noticed during our previous inhalation could fleetingly feel less stressful, less permanent, and even less defining. The path is simple. As we feel our chest swell with inhalation, silently and mentally we can recite the verb watch. As we feel our chest sink with exhalation, silently and mentally we could recite the verb rest. It's just that simple. You're not alone. I'm not an automaton. The moment you have a specific question about Buddhist philosophy or meditation, do not hesitate to type your question in great detail in the chat window, for I tend to check for questions intermittently. Jared asked, I would like to meditate more, but it does take effort, so this title is promising. Here's the key to effortless meditation. Sit, breathe, watch, rest. Sit sustainably, breathe naturally. Do not force the duration or depth of your breathing. Sit back and enjoy the show as you watch. Rest as you exhale. Meditation can be as easy as sitting and breathing and watching and resting. As we inhale, we could silently and mentally recite the verb watch. As we exhale, we could silently and mentally recite the verb rest. If you, like me, are prone to arthritis, you may wish to gently adjust your legs every 15 minutes or so. There are many cranky, rigid people who insist you must remain motionless like a statue, but I don't want to be rigid and cranky. And I remember the words of Dolly Parton in her one of her movies, "Get off the cross, someone needs the wood." You might find it helpful to rest the great knuckle at the base of your right middle finger upon the tip of your left middle finger, palms up in your lap. controlling elitists make up stages on the path to enlightenment, telling people they're a stream enterer or a once returner or a once lifetime or an arahant or a worthy one. The Buddha had no use for such folly. In the second to the last passage of his discourse on the four bases of mindfulness, Buddha explained that one could master this eightfold path in as little as a week. Albert Einstein cautioned that any educated idiot can make things more difficult, more complicated, and more violent, but that it takes a lot of courage and a little bit of genius to move in the opposite direction. And so in the history of Buddhism, we see proto-Buddhism, simple, easy, and effective, and institutional Buddhism, cranky and clunky. I like the former. How about you? The rigid and the superstitious and the elitist redefine enlightenment. They say, oh yes, if you feel emotion, you can't be a Buddha. The Buddha didn't teach that. The Buddha taught the seventh-fold of the eightfold path is mindfulness. The first enlightenment factor is mindfulness. Our job is to vulnerably and passively and viscerally and randomly and fleetingly notice whatever perception, emotion, intention, thought, memory, or imagining seems to cartwheel across the stage of our mind. What makes a Buddha is not what they experience, but what they do with their experience. No, we do not sit in mindfulness and meditation to escape reality, but to process reality. Ideally, when we rise from meditation, our choices and utterances and deeds could flow not from the calculations of contrivance or wild scatteredness, but instead from a centered spontaneity. That can make us useful to our neighbors. The neighbors on our street, the neighbors in our city, the neighbors on our continent, the neighbors on our planet. Having recently turned 60, I'm reminded of the old adage, the best time to plant a fruit tree is 20 years ago. The second best time is right now. Of course, that might mean that we do not live long enough to enjoy the flavor of the fruit or the shade it produces. But that's okay. Our life's meaning is found in service. A great Indian poet named Tagore once wrote, I dreamt that life was bliss. I woke and saw that life was service. I acted and found that service was bliss. We do not act and of kindness to work out our karma. We do not perform acts of kindness because we want some sort of celestial cookie. Kindness is the barometer of our mindfulness and meditation. When we fall into active focus and active analysis, we get cranky. When we authentically notice and relax in harmony with our inhalation and exhalation, we can't help but practice kindness of intention, communication, conduct, and even commerce. Moving away from the competition model to that of cooperation, rejoicing in the meeting of needs. There are some who love democracy so much they want to bring it into the workplace, where every employee has an equal, divides evenly in the profits and in the decisions. And when this is done, it works out rather well. We don't have to live in fear. We don't have to live in greed. We don't have to practice cruelty. We can cooperate. This has been a message taught by many great luminaries throughout the ages. And don't we teach that to children to play nicely and share? I love watching kitty cat videos on YouTube. And often you'll see kitty cats fighting over one bowl of wet food. And one cat will take a couple bites, and the other cat will pull the bowl away, and then they'll take a couple bites. And then the first cat will pull the bowl away and take a few more bites, and back and forth they go. But a clever editor will reverse that, and they seem to be sharing, passing the bowl to each other, which is as beautiful as it is fictional. If you've ever lived with a kitty cat. Remember, the moment you have a specific question about Buddhist philosophy or meditation, do not hesitate to type your question in great detail in the chat window, for I tend to check for questions intermittently. Mindfulness and meditation are as simple as sitting and breathing and watching and resting. 50% of the Buddha's Eightfold Path pertains to kindness. Kindness of intention, communication, conduct, and commerce. So let us bring the 4 bases of mindfulness into the path of loving kindness right now. Beginning with the mental's second fold of the Buddha's Eightfold Path. As we breathe in, let us silently and mentally recite the word joy. As we exhale, let us silently and mentally recite the word all. No, Virginia. Doing so is not a magical incantation to transform us into a graduate of Hogwarts, but it is useful for exercising our neural pathways responsible for empathy. Let's face it, it's much better to have loving kindness for all beings everywhere than to be just a selfish bastard. Let us practice bringing the interpersonal base of mindfulness into the path of loving kindness, which is the 3rd fold of the Buddha's Eightfold Path. As we breathe in, let us silently and mentally recite the word peace, and as we breathe out, let us silently and mentally recite the word all. Wishing that all relationships everywhere be peaceful and harmonious. Bringing love into the experience of the physical is the 4th fold of the Buddha's Eightfold Path. As we breathe in, let us silently and mentally recite the word health. As we exhale, let us silently and mentally recite the word all. Bringing the circumstantial base of mindfulness into the path of loving kindness is the 5th fold of the Buddha's path. As we breathe in, let us silently and mentally recite the word safe. As we exhale, let us silently and mentally recite the word all, longing for all beings everywhere to be free of genocide, jingoism, fascism, sexism, racism, homophobia, and the like, and all forms of exploitation. You have taken, oopsie, wrong button. Let's try that again. You have taken your first step into a much larger world. If you feel that I have earned it, you could give this live stream a thumbs up. You could even help support this channel. In approximately 3 hours, I would very much like to return to lead today's brunch, recitation, as well as meditation. And if you are as geeky as me, may the Force be with you always.